To start off this review, we're going to play a little game today. So as you can see here, I'm holding a poster of our 2019 team captains. So now, the Giants decided, as all of the fans angrily, depressedly, if that's even a word, left the stadium after the Giants-Bills game to hand these out so we can be reminded of the losers that we saw on the field. How nice of them. So now, as I mentioned, we're going to play a game. The game is called Last Man Standing. So now the rules are simple. Every week, I'll update this poster with a Sharpie. Whoever is either A, not on the Giants anymore, or B, not starting, will be crossed off. I have a feeling come week 7, week 8, especially now around trade deadline time, we're going to see a lot of these names and a lot of these faces crossed off. Vegas odds have it set right now that this man right here will potentially be the only one still starting, because looking around, that's the only thing working on this poster. In second, very close second, is going to be actually Zach DeOssie, because for some reason the infatuation continues and he really doesn't play a major role anyway, but you get my point. Once again, I'm coming to you upset, angry, and just disappointed in this team. As you know, if you saw my vlog, and if you haven't, definitely check it out. I was live in attendance at the Bills versus the Giants. As you could see, some sunburn, glasses marks. I'm pretty fried from sitting there watching that embarrassing performance. I stayed the whole game. I didn't leave. I never do. I don't. You never know what can happen. We could be down 40. I still want to sit there and, I guess, just further upset myself. But just another miserable loss to the Buffalo Bills. Now I'm going to start off. I don't want to call anyone out, but I just want to say that I take my time with these reviews. I like to watch the film and break down the game before I go in and just give my initial thoughts and my reaction to the game. A lot of YouTubers just try to be the first one. They want to be the first video out there. And how some of these videos have thousands of views, I'll never understand. Absolute cringe, awful analysis. I just listening to some of them, just terrible. I don't, whatever. I'm not going to get into that. That's not important at this point. I can only focus on myself. And to get into the review, I just can't help but feel disappointed in the overall performance against the Bills. I mean, last review, I gave Eli Manning sort of the benefit of the doubt here. Put most of the blame on the play calling by Pat Shurmur, but coming out of week 2, it's obvious. It's not one or the other at this point. It's both. Now, did Coach Shurmur's play calling improve? Absolutely. We took more shots downfield. We gave the ball somewhat more to Saquon Barkley. But at multiple occasions, Eli Manning just simply can't make the big-time throws. Now, I'm going to start off with the offense here, and then I'll talk about the defensive performance, and I have a lot to say on that. There's something to be said about not having Sterling Shepard out there, a guy that Eli Manning has built a rapport with, so it's clear that not having him out there is going to affect our overall offense, but with the protection Eli was getting, there's simply no excuse. Say what you want about our offensive line in the past, we have clearly built an offensive line that is going to enable our success down the line once we get the proper pieces in place. Now, even on that strip sack fumble, where, to be completely honest, it looked like Eli Manning just fell down and just gave up on the play, which he's been known to do as of late. It was an all-out blitz. Buffalo was sending heat. It wasn't just the defensive line. All the 4 linebackers were trying to get to Eli. When you send an all-out blitz, it's man-to-man coverage. It's one-on-one. It's your job as a quarterback to read that it's an all-out blitz and get that ball out in time. You cannot tell me that no one was open or there wasn't a chance on that play to get a completion, or at least give your receiver a chance to make a catch. That sack that I just mentioned was the only sack Buffalo was able to muster for the entire game. Our offensive line, they look good, period. Like, I don't care what you say about the rollouts and Eli's taking hits. When Eli rolls out of the pocket, the offensive line's kind of, I mean, it's their job to block the guy in front of them. I mean, if you got a guy following Eli, that's different, but still. Our offensive line has looked, it's, besides Saquon Barkley, is the shining star on offense. Last week I thought it was frustrating watching this stupid dink and dunk screen pass offense from my couch. But being live in the stadium with Giants fans and even more so Bills fans, it was even more infuriating. I'm sick and tired of booing my own team as they come off the field on a 3 and out, especially when it's 3rd and 12, and instead of, I don't know, pushing it beyond the sticks, you throw it on a drag route over the middle to Evan Ingram that picks up 2 yards. Ridiculous. Beyond just booing my own team, I'm sick and tired of it feeling like a home game for visiting teams. Buffalo had a field day in their fans. And what can we say? We defend our team as much as we can, but what can we really say when that's what you're putting out on the field? Now, if you watch my pregame predictions video, I pegged this game spot on. I told you exactly what the Giants needed to do, and on our first drive, we did it. Heavy Saquon. Heavy Saquon. We gave it to Saquon Barkley. Basically, that entire first drive, one jet sweep to Benny Fowler definitely added on some yardage, but that was dominated by Saquon, and it resulted in a touchdown. Now, beyond that first drive, I mean, you might as well have just gone home, because we really didn't do anything after that. It was basically rinse and repeat from last week. Great opening drive. The Buffalo defense had the perfect game plan for stopping the Giants and winning this ball game. Force Eli Manning to throw the ball. Who would have thought? Defense actually wants a quarterback to throw the football. They knew they wouldn't be able to completely stop Saquon Barkley. Were they able to kind of contain him a little bit more than Dallas was? Yes. Obviously, Barkley had a few more carries here. But they knew that they had a good secondary. They were confident in their secondary, and they wanted the ball in Eli Manning's hands. And if you watched any part of the ball game, you'll understand why. Buffalo consistently stacked the box, which when you do that, it's essentially one-on-one coverage with the receivers downfield. And that's what Buffalo wanted. They wanted Eli Manning to throw the ball. And they knew, with the talent that they have in the secondary, that Eli throws it downfield, it's either A, going to be completely off target to where no one catches it, or he's just going to throw one up and there's going to be a chance for an interception. So now Saquon Barkley carried the ball 18 times this game, 107 rushing yards, an average of nearly 6 per carry. He added on 3 catches for 28 yards. Was this more Saquon than we saw last week? Yes. Was this enough? Absolutely not. Still not nearly enough of him based on what he's putting on the field. Now, I want him more towards the 25 carry mark, and he should be at least getting 6 to 7 receptions per game, and not these stupid little swing passes where he has 3 guys in his face. No, get him downfield. He's shown that he can run a streak down the field, one-on-one coverage, and win. Well, Odell Beckham Jr. was throwing him the ball in those situations, so I'm not going to get ahead of myself here. We don't have that sort of throwing talent in the backfield. I told you in the preview video that if we had any chance of winning here, Saquon Barkley needed to be the focal point. And early on he was, but same as last week. Throughout the game, he was just abandoned. I mean, I get it, we're down and we need to move the ball downfield, but I feel like a broken record when you're only averaging 5.6 yards per pass, and he's averaging 5.9. What's the difference? Eli Manning threw the ball 45 times. One more time than he threw it last week. I want less of Eli Manning, not more. Now, Eli finished the ball game 26 for 45, 250 passing yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions, and those I will get to as well. But again, that's too much. I get it, they're stacking the box against Saquon, but he's still able to manage 5.9 yards per carry. Feed him the ball. The Buffalo defense had 9 pass deflections. 9. That's ridiculous. With that many pass deflections, it's one of two things. Well, first of all, your quarterback's not putting it in a place where only his receiver can catch it, meaning that the defender's able to get a hand on it, or two, which was more realistic, the bulk of those deflections came from the defensive line. One of those deflections resulting in an interception. The reason that the ball's getting batted down at the line of scrimmage is because, same thing as I said last week, Eli Manning is consistently looking for checkdowns, passes at the line of scrimmage or just beyond, and when you're throwing at that low of an angle, how could you not bat that ball down? It's when you're throwing that kind of pass, just something short off to the left or right or something short over the middle, 20 plus times per game, it's very easy that they got that many deflections. I mean, come on. This was just literally, as I said, a rinse and repeat from last week. Great opening drive, dominated by the run. Offense disappears throughout the rest of the game. Defense gives up points, and we play from behind and abandon what got us to the dance. As I said, we did take more shots downfield, pushing the ball past the sticks, not as consistently as we would like, but we did adjust the play calling and focus more on that. But it's just clear that Eli just can't make these big-time throws anymore. Now, at the beginning, I also mentioned that it wasn't just Eli or the play calling, it was both. And it's only both because I truly, at this point, after what I've watched, believe that Coach Shurmur is handicapped. He's handcuffed. He knows Eli is not able to run the offense in the fashion that the coach wants him to. His ability at this point in his career is limited on the field as to what he can do, and everyone thinks it's just so simple. Oh, bench Eli Manning and start Daniel Jones. It's not that simple. The backlash from the media, the fans, and most importantly, I mean, screw the media, who cares? And the fans, I mean, we'll get over it. But most importantly, management. Now, it's clear the infatuation with Eli Manning by upper management is blatantly obvious. Coach Shurmur knows this. And that's why he's sending Eli Manning out there, giving play calling that he knows Eli can handle. Simplified offense, if you will, and that's why we're getting stopped so consistently and why we're throwing these little dink passes on 3rd and long. So what Coach Shurmur is doing is he's essentially letting Eli Manning go out there, run this offense, fail, and play his way out of the game. Because inevitably that's what's happening. It's clear to see. It's obvious. Coach Shurmur does not want to pull the trigger on the switch to Daniel Jones in fear of the backlash. So he's going to let Eli Manning put on this dreadful performance, and eventually, week after week after week, the switch will be made because it's just a must at this point. Trust me, I don't want this to be reality, but it just seems like it is. It's not a fun experience for fans just watching our team get demolished and have play calling that is not setting us up for success. But like I said, Coach Shurmur is handcuffed. Now, as I said, after week after week after week of failing, eventually the switch to Jones will come, and I'm sure the play calling will be adjusted because the skill set that this younger quarterback has opens up the playbook more for Shurmur. Now, I'm not guaranteeing instant success. You make the switch and everything's going to be so much better because obviously there's going to be growing pains with a young quarterback, and it very well could just be that Shurmur's offense is awful, and we are seeing the full playbook. But based on what I've seen, I truly believe this is a logical explanation for what's going on. Now, outside of Saquon Barkley, who once again showed why he is the most dominant running back in football, another bright spot, I guess you could say, would be TJ Jones, who showed the Giants what they were missing. He showed that you shouldn't have cut me, you should have kept me around. He had a very decent showing. He had actually our only receiving touchdown in the ball game, which I actually caught a pretty cool shot of in my vlog. Second plug of the vlog, check that out. Nice toe tap in the back of the end zone for the touchdown, brought us within 2 scores. But outside of that, our offense is as I explained, very, very limited in what we can do. All I can say is I hope that coaching makes a change sooner rather than later, before it's too late for this team. I mean, 0-2 is already, in some senses, a death sentence in the NFL. But there's still 14 weeks or 14 games to go. Maybe Eli Manning will find a magic glowing football, like in Space Jam with the basketball, full of talent, but this time it's a football, and he can channel his 2011 Eli. But other than that, I'm finished talking about this offense. Now moving on to defense, and I hate to toot my own horn once again, but if you watch my preview video and my top 5 things to watch for video prior to this game, I was spot on. I'm sorry, I don't want to sound cocky, but I just pegged this game. The Giants had a chance to secure a win in week number 2, mainly because of some of the mistakes made by Josh Allen. If our offense and defense was able to take advantage of those mistakes, we would have been right in that ball game. On 2 separate occasions, as I said, Allen likes to just air it out. He likes to take a chance with the football, and on 2 separate occasions, the ball was tipped, and we had a very easy chance for an interception. But unfortunately, the ball went through our defender's fingertips, touched the ground, and we weren't able to take advantage. Now, that was a key to this game, taking advantage of those mistakes and making up for it on offense. And throughout this game, we just weren't able to do that. All in all, it was a better defensive performance than against Dallas, but against a team that is clearly less talented than Dallas, I was expecting a much better performance. One of my bold predictions in that game was that our defense would have secured at least 2 sacks and 2 interceptions, and honestly, it should have happened. As I mentioned, there were 2 errant passes that should have been intercepted, and we actually finished with 3 sacks. Now, I just want to quickly give my reaction and my comments to what Jornus Jenkins mentioned to the media post-game. He was asked about the issues that they were having in coverage and on defense, and he remarked that, how can he possibly cover someone for 10 seconds? When we're getting absolutely no pressure on the quarterback, how do you expect me to cover someone for that long? Now, I agree and disagree with him. I agree because watching live in the stadium and focusing in on his one-on-one coverage, there were several times where, exactly right, Josh Allen did whatever he wanted in the pocket. If there was any pressure, he's athletic enough to get around that pressure, and Jenkins had blanket coverage several times on John Brown, and he just had so much time that he was able to get away from Jenkins and get a completion. Where I don't agree with him stems from the fact that we did get some pressure on Josh Allen. We were able to get in for a couple sacks. Marcus Golden had a great game as far as pressure goes. O'Shane got in, Olsen Pierre got in, and there were some occasions where Jenkins was just not in the picture, and then his receiver was wide open. Now, one of the obvious occasions, and it did look like the Giants were in zone defense at this point, but it was easy for Allen, and he got this ball out within 3 seconds of receiving it. It was consistently all game, but as I said, the worst of all occurred actually on a 1st and 20 midway through the second quarter. And at this point, we're only down 7 points, but Cole Beasley wide open along the sideline, 3 defenders around him. No one could get in his way. He was wide open. So now I believe the pass rush ineffectiveness that Jenkins was talking about was more so stemmed toward our defensive line. We saw a great performance, as I mentioned, by our linebackers getting in with some pressure. Either making, as I said, Allen roll out and making him earn it with his legs, which he did consistently, don't get me wrong, and we should have had a spy all game, and if we did, he was completely ineffective. But B.J. Hill, Dalvin Tomlinson, and Dexter Lawrence were just completely non-existent in this ballgame. Last week, I was able to give them credit for some run-stuffing ability, really clogging up those lanes, but couldn't do a thing this week. Devin Singletary, who I mentioned in my preview video, is extremely dangerous. He's a major threat to our offense, and he showed it in this ballgame. I mean, hell, even Frank Gore had a pretty decent game, but Singletary was the main attraction. Jenkins also told reporters that he feels like some players need to start stepping it up and coming to play. He feels that some people aren't coming to play football, and he mentions that they'll address that on Monday. I hate to say it, but I truly believe the person that he's speaking on more than anyone is DeAndre Baker. For the second consecutive week now, he has just been absolutely dominated by average receivers. No knocks against the wide receiving core of Dallas or Buffalo, but they are not premier level receivers, and a first round draft pick, you're expecting a little more out of him. Buffalo used the exact same strategy that Dallas used, which was, all right, who's DeAndre Baker covering? Oh, perfect, I'm throwing to him. Simple. Look for Baker, look for 2-7 on the field, and whoever he is defending, throw that person the ball. Cornerbacks in this year's draft, like Greedy Williams, had big knocks against them in terms of, oh, they don't like playing football, they don't want to get hit, they don't want to give hits. But I hate to say it, the guy we took is looking like that right now. If you watch Baker on the field, he drops into coverage nicely, yes, then gets burnt. But as far as coming up to make tackles, he doesn't look like he wants to be involved in the play. He's always the one chasing after somebody, but it doesn't really look like he would ever get to him or for that matter, lay a hit. And I hate to say it because he was such an early pick, but he just doesn't look like he wants to play football. Now, I could be wrong and he's just having a hard time adjusting to the NFL style, but even if you make a mistake on defense, at least hit somebody. That's how you make up for it. You blow your coverage, make up for it by laying a hit. That's what I've been told my whole life in football as well. I don't care if you mess up, just hard-nosed football, play hard, and he's just not doing so. Now, when you have a guy like Corey Ballentine just sitting on the sideline, a guy that I've been so high on for so long, and he's not getting consistent reps and you're playing poorly, that gets frustrating, and that's when I start asking questions. Now, I'm trying to stay positive as far as the defensive play calling goes, because I do believe in James Bettcher's defense, but it's getting harder and harder to support, similar to the offensive play calling. Why can't we cover tight ends? It's been an issue for Giants for decades now. I said the same thing in the Dallas video, but I'm giving all the credit in the world to Tommy Sweeney, BC alumni, and Dawson Knox, who are just very talented rookie tight ends. But come on. If you can't cover tight ends with barely getting their feet wet in the NFL, how do you expect to cover a guy like Zach Ertz, who you're going to see twice a year, or a Travis Kelce? You're not. The middle of our field is wide open for the taking. These tight ends are just running drags across the field, getting major yardage, and we're just simply not stopping them. I already said the same thing last week, and I hate to just go on and on about the exact same things over and over again. I could literally just take clips from my Dallas review video, remove certain names, insert others, and it would still be applicable this week. And that's why I might start diverting my comments to the defensive play calling rather than the players themselves. It's tough to... It'd be hard to believe that week after week after week after consistently just getting burnt time after time and offenses moving the ball at will, that it's the players. But I've said it time after time. Defense needs to improve. Secondary needs to improve. We need a pass rush. It's the same thing as last week. I'm not going to repeat myself time after time, guys. Don't worry. Very frustrating times for Giants fans. It's clearly going to be a long haul before we're contenders again. It's definitely not looking like it's this season. Even if Daniel Jones gets into the ballgame, we have issues in so many other areas that... What are we going to do? Just have to hang with our team. That's all I got for you guys today. Another miserable, depressing loss. And now tonight, Monday Night Football, we get to watch one of our former playmakers, our former stars, do what he does under the bright lights. I don't want to be depressing, but anyways, don't want to end on a completely depressing note. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I hope you enjoy the games tonight. If you want to see positive things from the ball game on Sunday, go check out my vlog. There's 3 plugs for the vlog now. But yeah, go check that out. It was a fun experience. Got to meet Ahmad Bradshaw, talk to him for a little bit. Kicked a very embarrassing field goal, so definitely check that out. and just other fun things around the stadium. But as I said, that's all I got for you at this point. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video and sub to the channel if you haven't already. Other than that, I'll see you in the next one, guys.